My name's Warren. I'm farmers market organiser, and my background has really been small cottage industry businesses actually, and with a bit of music thrown in between that. So I've played in bands all my life is actually a big part of my background that not too many people know about. But through that I've had various odd sort of small businesses to get by on, and I just sort of fell into sort of farmers markets really. I just happened to be jogging along the Yarra River one day and came across the Collingwood Farmers Market, and just thought that would be a bit of fun to start one up, not for a business, just to start one up. And I happened to move to Ballarat and saw an opportunity and started one up there. So my background's a bit varied, but it's really just been small cottage industry businesses mixed with a bit of music, and I've ended up here. I've spent a lot of time in the country. I grew up in Cootamundra, and my nickname growing up was actually the farmer, as it happens, because I kept a lot of animals: ducks, sheep, goats, chickens. I had a little property when I was 10, and I just loved animals. So when I came across the Collingwood Children's Farm and the farmers market thing, I sort of put all my little ideas together, and sort of I've really just got inspired to start one. Each storeholder is a little business, you know, and I love sort of small business. So it's sort of I love seeing them develop their businesses and nurture, and I suppose I play a little part in that and seeing their business sort of evolve. So I'm really sort of from a bit of a business background there, and looking at watching them evolve, but also and the farmers, the love of the land and farming and that type of thing. It's not really from a food background. I didn't sort of get into it from that background, but I've sort of become a bit educated in it from being involved in it. But I really had very little idea of that side of things when I started. It was just my wife, who I should really say that my wife started the markets with me, and she was actually probably a bigger part of it at the start because I was working elsewhere. And she's really sort of more into the nutrition and food and that whole sort of that whole part of it, the food miles and buying local. I'm of course into it now, but I wasn't when I started 10 years ago. I've sort of become educated along the way like everyone else is. To start a farmer's market, it's quite a lengthy exercise. It can be fairly quick, but with our first market in Ballarat, we started that in 2005, I think. So it's really about, I suppose, finding the right site, you know, and then determining whether that site is available to hold a farmer's market. It might be council land, might be private land, might be Parks Victoria. So we found a site in Ballarat that we loved. It's at Lake Wendouree, so that's a really popular little spot in Ballarat. Although it's not, you know, it's a bit out of town, so you need to really. It's a bit of a different ball game to some other markets. But we found a spot. Then it's just a case of approaching the council and getting approval. So that can take 3 months to 2 or 3 years in some cases before you dot all the I's and cross all the T's and get it through all the. And this particular land at Ballarat's on council land, so you need to go through quite a few processes to get approval. And then once you do, then obviously you've got to encourage stalls to attend. And when you're first starting, that's a bit tricky because no one knows you and doesn't think you can, promote a market. They need to turn up and see a lot of people there, so they basically turn a profit on the day. So you've got to sort of encourage people to store holders to attend, and that takes a bit of legwork at the start. Just attending other markets, speaking to people, a lot of legwork, a lot of phone calls, and then eventually we built, got a nice list of stalls, and then it's a case of promoting the market and investing time and effort and money into pushing the market and advertising and all that sort of stuff. So it's quite a labour of love, really, for a market and an organiser, and someone wants to do it. It's something you've got to be pretty passionate about, really. Otherwise, you're not going to get the stores, not going to get the people attending, and it's all got to work together. A lot of the stalls, probably 50% of them from 2006 at the Ballarat Lakeside Market would still be there, attending the same that same day, so the second Saturday of every month. They'll still be there, and they'll do other markets of ours as well. So obviously once they have confidence in you and the market's working, they stay on and will continue to support the market. So, and it becomes, a bit of an institution. They build up friends at the market and other store holders, and it's a bit of a social activity for a lot of people as well, and part of their life. And so there's quite a varied list of stalls that are still attending that market and others. We have about there'll be hundreds who attend our markets each month. I think it's about 270 stalls each month. There's a lot of people who supported us when we started, and came on board and still support us. I think Mount Buninyong Winery, who are up there, I think they were one of the first. There's a whole range of them. Frank Barone, who's an orange grower from up in sort of Mildura way, he's still at that market, and just a lot of local traders that are there. So they're just very supportive of the market, and a lot of other market organisers were very supportive of us when we started and gave us a lot of advice, and we do the same. If someone's starting a market and needs advice, we help them and try and encourage more, and so it's quite a nice a nice industry to be in. Yep. Because it's so new. I think it's and it'll hopefully continue to be like that. Obviously they make money out of it on the day, but it's also sort of I suppose something they have customers that they need to so they build up a customer base, the store holders, and they obviously don't want to let their customers down, and so they continue to do the market while they're sort of hopefully making a quid out of it. Why is it called in-season farmers markets, or in-season markets we're also known as? I think we just wanted to get come up with a name that was I suppose a bit generic and could had a bit of an edge to it. Wasn't just Vic farmers markets or no reason really. At the time, actually, now I remember, at the time we tried to launch a farmers market magazine when we started or at the same time, if not before. That didn't really, we did a lot of work on, and we almost released that magazine, but we didn't really get the numbers with advertisers, and that was called In Season. And so I think we just adapted that to in-season farmers markets. But the thing with farmers markets is that it's seasonal produce, and obviously the seasons play a big part in markets, and it's all about eating seasonal produce and the importance of that, and so it's obviously got meanings there as well. We have about 11 markets, monthly markets. So, they all run on various days of the month. So the second Saturday or third Saturday, etc., etc. So we generally have about 3 a week that we run, all over Melbourne and Victoria, but mainly Melbourne suburbs like Caulfield, Ashwood, Spotswood. We're also at Sunbury. We have Ballarat, and we've started another market at Ballarat. And so they're scattered around. Preston Farmers Market, we're starting one in September the 15th at Altona. So we've built up a range of markets, which is sort of I suppose the natural progression for most market organisers. Although a lot of markets are weekly, so that's, obviously there's various organisers that have weekly markets, maybe every Saturday, every Sunday. So we sort of keep ourselves busy with, we fill up our weekends with markets. But most of these markets have just sort of evolved. We just get calls from a lot of various people that want a farmers market, really. That's how the majority of them have come to be. I think Caulfield, we sort of scouted out an area when we moved from Ballarat to Caulfield, but majority are just from various people calling up saying, how do we have a market at our school or at our place of work or whatever it might be. So we just sort of we can't sort of seem to say no, quite frankly. I suppose I think I have now started now, but it's just we figure if someone wants a market, and it's who are we to sort of get in the way of that? We've got the sort of contacts with the stalls, so we sort of just go in and help bring the market there. So normally work with that venue or the school to often the school is sort of raising sort of funds, and they use it as a fundraiser, which most of them have been. So they'll sort of, get involved that way to raise funds. You need to manage them right and make sure they're promoted well. It's all about, the thing is with it's all about making sure there's enough people visiting and there's enough storeholders to keep the visitors happy, and the storeholders make enough from it to warrant coming back. So there's a whole sort of business working in there, and obviously if you don't run it right, that can sort of fall in a bit of a heap, and so we're sort of busy enough at the moment with that. So they're definitely getting more popular. I don't think it's out of control sort of popularity or anything like that. It's still, you've still got to work hard to get people, make people aware of it, and to change their habits to visit one and get up and put up with the rain and the wind and everything else and the sun, and so you've got to be fairly committed to go to farmers markets. It's probably a bit easier to pull into a supermarket, but once they're sort of educated, which the storeholders basically do through their quality of produce and that sort of thing, they then obviously they're hooked on it a bit, and so that's just building up. But there's still so much scope out there for more markets and more people to be involved. It's still just in its very early stages. If you compare, how many people are buying food and groceries and from the major supermarkets and the like, it's just a small drop in the ocean compared to that. So yeah, I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger over, and provided the industry sort of, doesn't, you know, stuff up, and doesn't, and people are, they keep the authenticity there, and the consumer confidence, then I think it'll be fine. Am I thinking about weekly markets? Yes. And when I first started markets, I thought they should be weekly. But someone who first started a farmer's market in Victoria started a monthly one, and everyone did the same thing, I think. In other states, they have weekly, most of them are weekly. In Adelaide, in South Australia, Sydney, Perth. So I've always thought that, but I was sort of, people just advised me against it. So, and now we see sort of a lot of weekly farmers markets starting, and obviously that's the way of the future, because you need to, when you're not there, they're going somewhere else to buy their groceries. Now, luckily, they can visit various farmers markets that happen to be on those days, but it's the problem is that you can't just there's, I think the state government eventually, hopefully, there's a change in attitude, and it'll be a lot easier to start them. But it's just not that easy to start a market. You can't just turn up and set up shop. You need to go through a process, and people object to you doing it. So it's often a lot easier if you're just saying we're here once a month, and we're going to be here. Noisy trucks on your doorstep every Saturday, etc., etc. A lot of parking issues. So, it's just not easy to find the sites that have a lot of parking. Nice environments are available, so otherwise, yes, we'd have weekly markets, and we'll probably down the line look to do some of them. But I think also there is a case for monthly ones. It becomes a bit more of a carnival atmosphere, so we try and, I suppose, make ours a bit like that, with live music and other children's activities, and so it becomes more of a little festival sort of feel. And a lot of people, there's a percentage of people who just come for the day, and to, they're not diehard shoppers buying their monthly groceries. They're they'll buy stuff, but they're just coming for the day out. So I mean, that's what I sort of warmed to originally. And so there's a lot of, I suppose, whether it's the man or the woman of a relationship who does the shopping or whatever it might be, but, there's a lot of people there just either, just having a look around, having a bit of a taste of this and a taste of that, while often their partner will do the shopping, they're minding the kids, and, so... I still like the monthly market, but for the way of the futures with the weekly, I would suspect. So yes, the government they've provided funds to start markets. The thing I was referring to is really enabling those sites through council. That's a whole council issue, and planning permits and that sort of thing. So the whole planning scheme would have to be changed, and that's really probably the way of, for future sort of, for the industry sort of moving forward, that would be something that would need to be done, which has been sort of, talked about in a parliamentary inquiry, that making it more accessible to start them. So with the government funding, it's more to help promote it and that type of thing, which obviously helps. We haven't ever put our hand up for funding. The quality of produce, the freshness of the produce, the you know, when you sort of go to one of the storeholders' farms the day before the market and they're pulling stuff out of the ground and putting it on the truck, and then you see it there the next day, you take that home. It lasts for weeks, you know, and you hear people commenting on that all the time. So it's constantly sort of reiterated, you know, and that's what's changing, you know, converting other shoppers to do that. The fact that it's so local and, you know, minimising transport costs and food miles, pollution. So it's, you know, I've just got sort of caught up in the whole, you know, eat local sort of revolution, and, you know, but I've sort of never sort of started markets, as I said, to sort of because of that, but I sort of have got caught up in that. We only, you know, we only eat organic produce, organic food, you know, Australian, Victorian, you know. I don't eat imported food or don't buy imported products if I can help it, you know. Not getting on a soapbox or anything, but that's just what we try to do. You know, as little chemicals as I can possibly have in or on me, you know, the better. So, you know, chemical free, organic, fresh, local, you know, it's sort of it's quite good once you start doing it, you know. Feel quite good. But I wouldn't say I feel incredibly healthier, no, but I think I am. Do I think we're under threat with food security? No. I just think the natural, all of this local, this sort of revolution that I said that's taking place, I think will sort all that out. You know, I think there's enough of a movement there to, you know, it's, yeah, I don't think it'll be really, it's obviously an issue, but I think, you know, there's enough people working on it. And I must admit, I don't know enough about it, to be honest, the sort of higher end of food security, sort of global food security, but, you know, I'm about sort of living local, and, you know, I see enough local community gardens and people sort of focusing more on local activities and local growing and you know, home veggie gardens and that style of thing, I think, is really sort of just developing, you know, a lot quicker. So I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I go to a naturopath who says I've got an acidic diet, and from what I know about it, and it's very sort of, you know, limited knowledge, is, you know, unless it's balanced, your body can't sort of fight certain things and work to its full potential. I had no idea about it, but I like the sort of more acidic style foods and drinks. So mine was off the Richter scale. I can't even remember I might be getting confused with cholesterol, but it was just extremely acidic.
When was it?
Well, that was about a year ago. You know, first I'd ever heard about, you know, acid alkaline sort of. I mean, I knew it when I had my goldfish and I had to do the test or the pool, but I didn't really know about me personally. So yeah, I sort of went on a alkaline diet of some sort. And have sort of got that, you know, at bay a bit more, but with a lot more sort of, you know, I think it was, like I said, it's a little bit limited, but I made a sort of, a start at it. That's why I go to a naturopath to say, you tell me what I should be doing. I'm always sort of, I don't give it enough attention really, but I do know, oh look, I've got sort of like, I get a bit of eczema and psoriasis, and that gets blown out with an acidic diet. So that's primarily why I sort of need to keep it at bay. And I know when you've got when it's balanced, your body can sort of, I can manage that.
Yeah.
Favourite food? Well, I must admit I like the winemakers and the cheese and oh, I mean, there's so much good bread, so you're getting so much good organic sourdoughs, and that's always, I have to grab a few loaves of that every time. It's always something there, from just even jams. I'm a bit of a condiment freak, so just jams, and just bought a Mumbai chutney from Alfred's Condiments on the peninsula, so just picking up bits here and there, and so I'm probably more into that sort of thing. Obviously we get all of our fruit and veg from there, but and that's always great. But and also the meat, just sort of roast lamb, and always tastes sensational, and I'm when I started, I was like I said, I wasn't really a foodie, so I've been a bit of a skeptic, even running them, but I can definitely taste the difference, no question. So yeah, I like all of it really. Bit spoilt too, really, in a lot of regards. Well, myself and my wife have a little plot at a community garden, so we don't have much land at our house, so we grow a bit there, and have herbs at home and that sort of thing. And at times when we've had a bigger place, we grow a lot of veggies. So yeah, you get into it a lot more with that, and there's always a herb plant seller at the market. So when herbs, various herbs are in season, we always get some and pop them up. If I had the land, I'd be growing all sorts of stuff, and fruit trees. I'd love to grow some of them, but also more into the animal side of things. Certainly, if I had any opportunity, I'd have a couple of chooks at the very least, and I've had hundreds in my day, but then cattle and more other types of livestock. I'd love to get into that. The name of our farmers markets are In-Season Farmers Markets, and you can find us at www.InSeasonMarkets.com.au.